Okay, so the goal for today is to get our motor out and then the transmission, or actually it's going to be the opposite. I feel like it's going to be easier to get the transmission out before I get the motor out. I did quite a bit of disassembly, so we should be just looking at basically just the procedure of unbolting the engine from the frame and from the transmission, and then the transmission, of course. I want to get this on jack stands, but and then today I just disconnected my transmission harness and then got my engine harness out of the way. But hopefully I want to try and get this buttoned up this year, all the loose ends. Like I still got a ton of factory wiring in here that needs to be addressed, and I need to figure out something better in that little corner over there because it's quite a mess with all the wires and everything. So hopefully we can get that figured out. But like I said, today's goal is just to get the transmission and engine out, and then I can address all that other stuff later. So I guess first priority is going to be getting this on jack stands. Okay, time for an update of what I'm doing here. So the axle has to come out, and in order to do that, we got to take off our hub assembly here. I think it's one unit because it's sealed. So we're going to have to remove our axle nut and these two bolts for the strut. And then this is going to flop down where I'm going to use a jack to release pressure off this and not spring the strut down. But this is going to flop down, and then you should be able to push the axle out. And then we're going to get on the other side where the transmission is and use a pry flathead, and we're just going to slowly try and get it out. So that's that. And then to get to this point, all I did was remove the wheel, rotor, and then the brake caliper assembly. But so that's that. Okay, we're making good progress so far. Your mileage may vary about how long it takes you to get this off, but I mean, I got it done in less than an hour. You can also see all my anti-seize on everything because I have this apart so often. So like I said, your mileage might vary. Everything just comes out really easy for me though. So we got both sides of the axles done now. So someone questioned about bolt sizes in my previous video, so I'm just going to go off and list them. So the one for your struts are 21s. The one for your axle nut, which is here, here's the assembly, that's first, second, third, and then your retainer for it. Put that all back together. That's 32 millimeter. For your caliper bracket, that is 18, I believe. Yeah, it's 18, or the big one's back here. For your caliper is 14 millimeter. So there are all the sizes, and then that's factory. I haven't changed them. When we start getting into like change bolts, is like my grade 10 for my transmission and whatnot, that's all changed. But standard sizes for everything, rotating wheel assembly. So now we got to drain the transmission fluid so I can pop out my axles without dripping transmission fluid all over the place. We can also see here my axle is actually still leaking here. So my little gasket sealing that I didn't actually work. So we might end up doing axles also, but for now they're staying. I didn't account for that this year. But yeah, let's go ahead, get that out of the way, transmission fluid, and then we can work on that. I also have to get my transmission bracket under the car done, I believe. Yeah, because this intercooling piping has to come out so I can get to the bolts for my transmission bracket under there. And we are also going to get the torque converter unbolted. Yep. Okay, so we're going to take a look underneath. Like I said, I was taking out my transmission bolts for up here. Where is it at? Right there. So you're going to want to have a 19 millimeter on your crank with the breaker bar so you can rotate it. And the reason why you need an offset wrench is because unless you want to take off your oil pan, you got to get in there like this. So we're going to put it on, It's at the right size. Yep, that's an 18. These are 18 millimeters. And we just got to go like this until it comes out. It's a very slow, time-consuming process. It takes me about 10 minutes to do this, but it's what I found is best for working with it. And when these are super tight, all I do is put this in reverse. You hold this and you break this loose. They were standard thread, so it's lefty tight, lefty loosey, righty tighter. And also, if you put this back on, I use Loctite because these don't get torqued down that much, and vibrations from the engine can cause them to come loose. So when I'm at the last little bit here, I try and hand-on thread it, but it's still pretty tight. Put this thing back on. Alright, it's getting pretty loose. I'm trying to hold the camera and do this at the same time. Oh my god. It's the last one, so there might be some engine weight on it. Even though I got the 2 bolts up top, you'd be surprised. Alright, there we go. And she's out. So we got 4 of them out. And so I'm just going to drain the fluid and show you how to get the axles out next. So this is how you know you drain the transmission successfully, because if you don't have a mess, then you didn't do something right, because there is no drain plug on these transmissions, which blows my mind, which that is getting changed after this disaster here. Not that this hasn't happened before, but I'm tired of it, so that's that. Alright, so now we got to get the axles out. Probably not going to show that, but all you pretty much do is take a wedge flathead and you stick it right back there where the axle goes in. You stick it in and you just slowly pry out. It's more or less just, you got to figure it out because it's really hard to explain, especially if it's seized up or something like that. So, but basically you just wiggle it around and try and get it out. That's my best advice for that. I gotta figure this mess out too. So, alright, I see you back when I get that out. Okay, this is like my least favorite part, is when we start unbolting everything so it basically free flows everywhere. Yeah, so what we have to do is, I already undid my bolt over there, which is different than a PT Cruiser, but it's what I had to do to make this transmission work. So that bolt's almost out. We're going to release stress, then we're going to unbolt everything else slowly. Make sure nothing wants to move, like the motor or anything. Motor's coming out next, so that's not really a big deal, but just in case. Yeah, so I got this in here. That's all good. There's only like 3 bolts left, so see how it goes. Wasn't that bad. Everything did its job. There's a lot of tension on it, but okay. So yeah, everything did its job. Huge safety guy over here. So 2 jacks under there for the engine. So in case, I don't know, my hydraulic one fails, you got the jack stand just to catch it. Up here, this, and then I didn't unscrew those bolts right away. And so the only bolt that I undid was the one for that. As you can see, we went down a little bit, so there was a little bit of tension on it, but everything did its job. So now we just got to undo them and then lower it. Okay, so we got this out. It wasn't that difficult. Like I said, just take your time with it, and that was that. So now we got to get this hunk of junk out. It's not really junk, but you know what I mean. It's got to get new pistons and rods in it. So we just have to finish disconnecting all my other sensors in the back, which it's really just my alternator wire and oil pressure sensor, and we got to get this out of the way. Torque converter is going to get sent off to Edge Performance. I think I was going to send them to. They're going to build it so it's like a 4200 stall. Put an anti-ballooning plate in there. Yeah, so that's going to get fully built. I got to rebuild third gear clutches, and I'm probably going to do first, second, and reverse clutch pack 2, just because I have it out. We are going to replace the snap rings in there that are currently wave rings. They got to get replaced to straight snap rings. And yeah, so let me get this out of the way. Alright, so this is probably going to be the last update of the night. The engine is free. You can see I can move it all around. It is just holding there. So what I have to do is I got to get the wheels back on, lower the car enough. Honestly, it's low enough now, but yeah, so I got to get the wheels on so I can lower the car even more, just to give me as much room as possible. Honestly, I don't think I have enough room. Well, whatever. When we do that, what I might end up doing is hooking this one up here also to tighten that up. But yeah, this is just going to be finished work. Just get my wheels on and whatnot, but that's pretty much everything. Yep. So I'm calling it there. You guys probably wouldn't let me hear the end of it if I didn't show you guys the inside, but it's so freaking dark out. But you can see, absolutely no motor. If you want to get a look at the K-member, it's the wire harness. Like I said, all this got to be cleaned up this year, but pretty bare in the front there. Nothing too crazy. And then that's the side where the motor goes, so it's very empty over there. And then you can actually see the inside. I don't know if you guys want to see this, but like, just some stuff. Well, that's what it looks like without a motor. Okay. Yep, that's it. So I'm gonna let you guys go off here.